In this nugget, we're going to look at the development of the COVID-19 vaccines. The average time a vaccine spends in development is 10 years. However, within 18 months of the first cases of COVID-19 being reported, the World Health Organization had already approved 6 COVID-19 vaccines. 3 of the 6 were approved in the UK by the Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency. The first one was the Pfizer-BioNTech, the second was the AstraZeneca-Oxford, and the third was the Moderna. There are a number of reasons why COVID-19 vaccines have been produced and approved so quickly. Firstly, countries were made aware of first cases very quickly. Scientists quickly identified the virus and its genetic makeup and shared this information with other countries. Another reason was a significant amount of money was made available for the development of the vaccines. Also, research on similar viruses had already started by certain companies. Technology required to create the vaccines also already existed. And finally, finding human participants to trial the vaccines was a lot easier. Let's now examine some of these reasons in more detail. The sharing of information. Only 10 days after the first cases had been reported, Chinese health authorities had identified the virus as a novel coronavirus. This means it has not previously been identified or recorded. By day 11, the genetic sequence of the novel coronavirus had been determined and shared. The genetic sequence is the order or arrangement of chemicals in a section of genetic material. Global investment. A lot of money was rapidly made available to pharmaceutical and biotechnology companies, as well as universities and other research institutes. Often researchers have to find funding at each stage of the development process. However, in the case of COVID-19, more people were willing to put money into the development of the vaccine before trials were completed. This meant more trials could be carried out more quickly. Previous research. Before the novel coronavirus arrived, research had already been carried out on coronaviruses that cause similar diseases, one being SARS, which is the Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome. This meant scientists already had a good understanding of how these type viruses infect and replicate in humans, which meant vaccines could be developed much more quickly. Existing technology. The teams involved in creating the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine were already developing their technology to produce vaccines against a number of pathogens, including flu and Zika virus. As soon as the genetic sequence was available for the novel coronavirus, they began work on modifying their existing vaccines to work for COVID-19. In the case of Moderna, they had already spent 10 years researching and trialling their messenger RNA vaccine technology. This meant that they were able to adapt their existing technology to create a vaccine against COVID-19 much more quickly. Trial participants. The pharmaceutical and biotechnology companies had no shortage of people willing to take part in the vaccine trials. Moderna had 30,000 participants enrolled in their phase 3 trial in the United States. Pfizer and BioNTech had 43,661 participants enrolled in their phase 3 study across 150 clinical trial sites in the United States, Germany, Turkey, South Africa, Brazil, and Argentina. In comparison, some trials for other approved vaccines have had as little as 3,000 participants. Preparing for the future. The Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovations is a global partnership that was launched in 2017 after the Ebola outbreak to develop vaccines to stop future epidemics. There is already research focused on creating vaccines that might protect against any new variants of the COVID-19 virus, as well as all coronaviruses. People are also looking at ways we can prepare for and predict future pandemics. Let's now summarize what we have learnt. Cooperation, teamwork, previous research, and funding have all allowed the COVID-19 vaccines to be developed rapidly. The technologies underpinning the COVID-19 vaccines have been around for a long time and the vaccines have been tested in more people than lots of other approved vaccines. The COVID vaccines are some of the most thoroughly researched vaccines currently approved for use due to the large numbers of trial participants and available funding. Keywords: novel virus, a virus that has not previously been identified or recorded. Genetic sequence, the order or arrangement of chemicals in a section of genetic material. mRNA, a short set of instructions for making a particular protein that has been copied from the cell's DNA. mRNA stands for messenger RNA.